Doc Ngwenya, can you explain to us what you are producing here and what's happening here?
Right. First thing, the name is Nashcon. It's a great name to me. It takes the wisdom which I got from my dad, who is Nash, and I decided to call the company Nashcon. He was a great farmer, and this is who we are. And what we are producing, we are the first ones to produce this in Zimbabwe. These are movable precast concrete products. And we have a variety of these. These are our starting point. It's going to be a big company in future. We have started with the feed troughs, the drinking troughs. We have the jumbo. This is known as the jumbo one, which carries 1,400 liters of water. And if you have piped water at your place, you can connect the float and it just refills as the cows or cattle drink. It's value for money. It's made from durable material, steel reinforced, and the quality of materials which we use is not the ordinary ones which the rest of the people use. It's modern technology, high tech, well engineered, and it's ideal for our communities, farmers at large, because you can move it from one place to another when there is need. The water trough, the jumbo one, as I said, it carries 1,400 liters of water. That's the standard. The concrete which we use is also high tech and is quality checked. It's rare for this product to crack if it's used properly.
So you talked about that is mobile. I mean, this thing looks heavy. How do you move it from one place to the other?
Right. Basically, there are ways. We know our farmers are not so big that they have the forklifts and other things. But in a normal situation, you can even use the gum poles to push it. As long as you have 1, 2, then you can slide it. It's easy to move. Or you can use the normal kettle, you harness them and put a rope or a chain, you can pull this thing. As long as you have one, because they are close to a ton. Why are we making them to be almost heavy like this? Is to make sure that they don't break and no one can tamper with them. Unless when you start using a 5 pounds hammer, yes, you can break this. It's well reinforced. It's easy to use. When it's dirty, there's an outlet which you straight away open and you clean. After that, you close. This one is the food trough. It's 3 meters long and known as the round base feed trough. Why are we saying it's round base? We also look at how cattle feed. They tend to feed it with the food. So because it's round, the food will be just also moving slowly round and round, and it helps it not to spread and be thrown away. These are ideal for the guys who are feeding, particularly this time of the year actually, where there's no grass, people will be feeding. These would be ideal. They are very strong, same materials in the water trough. They are also heavy, close to a ton, and they can be joined. They are easy to join. As you can see, they've got the holes. You join the other one, it can be a stretch going up, depending on the number of troughs which you use. And you can feed as many cattle as you want, depending on the type of cattle which you have. But we have used these and they are strong, they don't break. There's no time where one will come and say, my trough is cracked. There are times where people tend to ask, why did you leave them open like that? It's meant to join. Because immediately when you close, it becomes a water trough. Water can't drain here. The materials which we use is just impervious. It can't. So
So when I'm now feeding, how do I make sure that my food doesn't go out the other way?
More the food should be within the area. Yes, but there are some people who always query and say, "Well, I know our feed," but it's rare that there are farmers who can fill this with food. It's just rare, unless when you are a fortunate one with money. But
So how many 50 kgs can I feed in here?
here you can take about 10, 50 kgs. They can fill this.
So that's almost
Yes.
like half a ton.
Half a ton. Yes. So if you decide, say, want to close, what I can edge is just to have one brick wall, but it has to have holes, because you can't clean it when you have closed it. So we're looking at the hygiene of the trough, and also look at the health of the animals. We don't want them to start eating food which is contaminated. We try by all means.
You have put blocks in this one.
Right, this one we've put some bars or a block. It's mostly for focused feeding. Particularly when you are feeding, you want those, each animal to get the same amount of food. It's easy when it's like that, because it will focus on that particular ration which we have given at a particular time. And of course, the dairy guys always use these ones. We also have one for the dairy, which is known as the flat back. It has a higher back than these ones. These are normal for the rest of the cows, but if you want the feeding one, the dairy one, they tend to have a higher back.
For someone who might see the program and want to order, where do they find you?
Right. We are in Kelvin, just opposite United Refineries, Kelvin North, along Kame Road. Those who know Bulawayo, the Zim Tile, then the popular Chisanyama. We're just the same line with Chisanyama. The number which we have, which you can be contacted, is 0772 33 5587. That's the number which we can be contacted on. But we shouldn't forget, we also have the ones for the pigs. We have the one for the goats and calves. It's still slower, smaller, and also durable. The pig one is also designed to make sure that the pig doesn't break it. We're following how a pig is.
Then these blocks, what are they used for?
Right, the blocks, we have, I think the first ones, we've got the ones which have the hook. We have known, all of us actually pitch tents and tend to have a hard time using a hammer to hit. We are introducing the blocks which have hooks. We just hook the corners and the tent will stand. And these ones, the other ones without hooks, we can design, we can do any custom work in terms of precast. These ones are designed for people to put anything which they want. You can even isphala, the normal isphala. We come from areas where it's got a seko, so people need to start looking for is thinner much, and after some time they break. This is the solution. We're using this, and these are our first products. We are moving further. We're also doing the culverts, the road culverts. We can do. We have that, and we can even do the small bridges and the precast walls, especially for the workshops. And we're looking at housing. We're still looking at how we can discuss with the city councils and start doing the modern type of building where panels are used. And I've been discussing with the coopers. We're looking at designing the deep tanks for goats and also for the bigger animals. That's where we are going.
So what's your, just a question, what's your background in terms of the study? How did you get into this?
Right, my background is environmental health. Environmental health is master of none. It's a broad area. And later on, I ended up pursuing my studies in health promotion, in occupational hygiene, health and safety, where I've done a lot of consultants, particularly in injury management in the industry. That was my interest, seeing people getting injured. And I've done a lot of investigations on those, being one of the inspectors in that area, and seen bad things happen. And this is where I started saying, right, when I visited one company, it had a fatal accident, and they were doing the concreting. And I got interest in that. So in terms of health and safety, yes, I'm good at that.
So how do you end up engineering concrete blocks?
It's interest. At times what you do is, I'm a public health specialist, but it's always our parents who drive us to where we are. Children, we don't give our children chance, because I see my neighbor being a teacher, a nurse, then I want my child to be a nurse. So it's not my passion. I've done it, I've gained a lot of experience, interaction and everything. But my father taught me to do a lot of things using my own hands. I can do a lot of designing, but I'm not an engineer, but I can design things.
I'm Tara Maidwell. We are the owners of Ngwenya Farm and Ngwenya and Corny Stud. We've chosen this animal as our stud animal because of its advantages, its benefits in our area. We are in Maidwell land, which is a harsh environment, to raise cattle. These cattle, the history of these cattle, in 1860 they came up with Zenzele from KwaZulu-Natal. Zenzele brought the South African Ngwenya with him up when he came north. He settled in this area in Maidwell land, which was harsh area. In 1860 there were no trees in this area. It's just grasslands, a couple of big trees. He passed away, he passed on to his son Lobengula. Lobengula had these cattle. When he came in 1860 from KwaZulu-Natal, he only bought the red and white, the king's cattle. They were called the royal cattle, and only the king and royalty were allowed to own the red and white Ngwenya. In 1896, Lobengula moved north again, and he took some of these cattle with him north, and the rest were left here. They dispersed themselves into Cholocho area, Wankie area, Lupani, Plumtree around there, Plumtree border. Very harsh environments for animals. Remembering from 1860 to 1960, they were left to do their own thing out in the wild. In 1960, the Metopus Research Station, Cholocho Research Station, decided to highlight the advantages of this breed, who for 100 years looked after themselves. They survived drought, they survived diseases, they survived predators. So what was left was a highly adaptable animal in the environment around it. Highly fertile animal, an easy calving animal. So these animals will 99% of the time just drop a calf without you even knowing. There's no calving issues because they've adapted to know they live in a harsh environment. It needs to get up and move. And the cow cannot be down for a long period of time trying to give birth. So they've adapted there. They're a smaller bodied animal than your exotic breeds for a reason. They don't need a lot of food to maintain condition. You don't need to put a lot in to get a lot out. They graze, this particular little group of animals, they graze on the veldt. Their condition, as you see them now, are veldt animals. They are not supplementary fed. So it just shows you the condition that they maintain. We're not yet in a bad drought, but we certainly aren't in good grass times. So they've shown us that with minimal input, we can get maximum output.
So what will be the purpose of keeping these animals? Looking at the commercial herd, is it for beef? Is it
These
for...
are beef animals,
Yeah.
predominantly beef animals. That's what they're for. Again, they're smaller bodied, but they have the beef. Just because they're not this big, they're this big, but they've got the same beef, the same characteristics of a beef animal. You can have 2.5 in corny to one big one. So you're getting 2 out of 1, so to speak, to your bigger framed animals. Because you're spending less time getting to the finishing point. That little bull, he's a two-tooth. He's 27 months old. He's already 490 kgs. So he is the size of a steer that would go to market with no feeding.
Yeah, because some people would argue that, when it comes to beef, big-bodied animals, whether it's your Beefmaster or whether it's your Simmental, will give you the weight that you need.
They do. They will give you the weight. And they are wonderful beef animals. There's nothing wrong with them. But they will take more to get to there than our smaller indigenous breeds. So that's the example. There's our small bull. If he was a steer, he's already 490 kgs with no feeding. A little bit of input will give us a bigger output.
Yeah. So would one be correct when you say with these you will need numbers, like lots of them?
Yes. So livestock units, you could probably say I can get 2 livestock units of indigenous cows to 1 livestock unit of a different breed, because you will finish that smaller breed off a lot quicker than you would finish off a bigger breed. So you can put double. They need less than your bigger animals. As long as you've got, as a farmer, we have to adapt. You need to decide, this is what I have to farm with. Do I have money to supplementary feed my animals? Or do I have the grazing to feed my animals? So you adapt your farming to the breed that suits your area. These animals will survive and can do on the veld. Again, I look at him, look at the cows. They both conceived off the veld. I haven't had to build their body condition up to become fertile. They've done it themselves.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at BD and Sons, we are located 70 kilometers from Bulawayo along Warare Road. So we mainly focus on breeding Beefmasters. So as you can see, we have our bulls, Beefmaster bulls, cows and heifers. And mainly we focus on beef production. And our breeds are also pure breeds. The advantages of keeping the Beefmaster bulls is that they've got high fertility, good mothering ability, they can adapt to any environment, and they've got a high feed conversion efficiency.
Yeah, most of the times we've heard that Beefmasters are big animals, so they need a lot of grass. Can you put them on veldt or you need to supplement them?
You can put them on veldt, but it just depends with the time of the year. Because sometimes during the dry period, the dry seasons like in May, June, July, August, September, the veldt is not that nutritious, so you have to supplement. So you can supplement with your hay, you can combine the hay with maize bran, molasses, and other feeds from civet like the tappy mixtures.
Yeah, so maybe you also have Brahman here. Do you keep Brahman as well?
Yeah, we keep Brahman.
Yeah.
We breed pure Brahman.
So let's compare the weight for a 2-year Brahman and the 2-year Beefmaster. What will give you the proper weight? I mean, nice weight commercially. What will give you money if you had to sell as steers?
The Beefmaster one.
The Beefmaster.
Yeah, it's got a high feed conversion efficiency as compared to the Brahman. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Philip Reed. I represent Anivate Tulis. I'm here with a couple of heifers on show. The Tuli Society, well, the Tulis were formed basically in the 1940s. An agri-tex officer by the name of Len Harvey identified the Tuli breed of cattle within the rural areas, mainly Ngwenya down in the south. That's why it's called the Tuli because it originated from the Tuli circle there. Identified them as a superior animal within the communal areas, and government set aside a breeding program to identify the better animals, and they slowly bred up the Tuli. And so Tuli is our proudly Zimbabwean breed. It was made in Zimbabwe. It's now around the world, Canada, America, Australia, all our neighboring countries have got Tuli now from early exports that we did. So the Tuli being an indigenous breed, the three main ones are obviously the Mashona, the Ngwenya and the Tuli. They are now becoming more and more popular because cattle farming is becoming expensive. Our inputs are very high. The cost of feeding is very high. The dipping that we have to do, etc., etc. And so all the strong points of the indigenous breeds are that they are hardy, they are fertile. Those are all the economic traits that save us money as cattle farmers. Fertility is the most important thing. If you're not having a calf every year from your cow, then you're going to go broke. Unless you really have lots of grazing and what. But so maintenance-wise, the Tulis are cheaper. They still need maintenance. People tend to not. They think, they're so hardy these and what. No, they still need maintenance. But it's not at the same level as other breeds, especially like the Bos Taurus breeds, the European breeds and that. And they're hardy, they withstand our parasites, our ticks and that better. I'm not saying they're not going to get sick, they do get sick. But when you treat them, they respond quickly and recover. So those are all economic factors that affect our bottom line. And more people are realizing the calf every year, and it's not costing me as much to look after that animal. They're becoming a very attractive animal to new breeders in that now. They don't have, for me, they don't have the same X factor like a Brahman. A Brahman is, everybody loves a Brahman, but Brahman are bigger. They have a reputation of being a little bit wild, infertile. It's not entirely true. I also do Brahmins, and my best Brahmins are as fertile or more fertile than some of my Tulis. But my whole Tuli herd is fertile, not my whole Brahman herd. That's the difference, I think. So we are concentrating to get that better, but it's work in progress. And yeah, that's the Tuli is making people money now.
The Tuli is not that big in terms of size. So
no,
if you
well, my cows average between 450 and 500 kilos. The Tuli, the advantage the Tuli has, I'd say, over the Mashona and possibly the Ngwenya, is they're a bigger framed animal. And our market, our beef market, that's why we do cattle. The Tuli, the meat of the Tuli is rated very highly. It has the intramuscular fat within the meat, and it's got a better taste because of that. So the meat of the Tuli is very good. The frame of the Tuli is slightly bigger, which allows the steers that we market to come through to the butcheries, a nice fattened steer at about 24 months of age. It's still milk tooth or two-tooth animal, and it's got good fat, good intramuscular fat. It's an attractive product. Whereas with the Shona, I don't know about the Ngwenya, but with the Shona it probably has to be a little bit older, 36 months of age, to get to that size. I'm not saying the meat and all that's not good, it's just taking a little bit longer to get there, which is probably an expense in the farmer's pocket. So I think that's the edge that the Tuli has over its indigenous brothers.
So the equation will be early maturity, good weight, less feed.
Yes. Yeah, no, that kind of sums it up. Yeah, so early maturity. We don't have to look after him as much. I don't want to get into all the technical and scientific things, but when a cow's pregnant, it needs very good nutrition to grow the calf inside nicely and all that. I think a few of the indigenous breeders, people who breed with these cattle, tend to think, I got my cow pregnant, so that is enough. It's not enough. They also need the good nutrition, but it's not on the levels that, say, a Brahman or a Simmental or some of the bigger breeds require. And yeah, we are consistently getting 90% or higher in our conceptions on our farm, and it's because we look after it.
My last question will be a general question in terms of feeding. It's a drought this year. What can a farmer do to cut on the cost? What is the easier way of feeding without going to the store and buy the already made feed?
Every farm is different. If you have basic grass and roughage, then there are products. All these feed companies produce winter maintenance blocks and urea-based that will provide protein lick for your cattle, but they must have good roughage. If you don't have the roughage, I'm not sure how to advise. Maybe identify your best animals and you concentrate on those, and so you have a good nucleus to start up again. But Maidwell got hit hard, but from Shangani onwards, there seems to be grass everywhere. So it was a terrible drought for crop farmers because it was such a big gap between the rains, and so the grain couldn't fill and all that, but grass did grow. So I think farmers will be okay if they can just supplement that urea-based licks or blocks, maintenance blocks. That'll help a lot. And then we just pray for early rain, eh? It came last year in October. That's what's made this drought not as bad as previous droughts. We got that early rain, which got our cattle into good condition. And then the rain came probably around December period only, and our cattle did well. Cattle do well in a dry year. As long as there's grass to eat, they do well. And then we got some recent rains. Some of us got recent rains in the Midlands area and up north. That's made our grass go green again. So that's shortened the drought by a month, maybe 6 weeks. So we were very grateful for that. Yeah, and then veld fires. That bank of grass is your bank. I mean, look after it. Put your fire guards in, and if your neighbor's farm is burning, go and help him. Don't say, it's not my neighbor. Because guess where his cattle are coming? They're coming to your farm. He will cut your fences, he will do whatever. So help your neighbors, and he will come and help you when you have that challenge. But look after your grass, and that's by far the best way to get through this drought.
Maybe you can tell us about your auction that is coming up.
This is my first year for showing at the ZITF, and the main reason for coming is to promote our breed, the Tulis and the Brahman, but I am having an auction on the 7th of June in Ngwenya. The sale will be conducted by CC Sales. It's live and online, and I, as the seller, will be paying the commission for the buyer. I'm the only seller in the country to do so. If someone spends more than $5,000 at the auction, we will transport anywhere for free in the country. No other buyer does that. If someone is, say, from Mashonaland, I will get the cattle to Harare for free, and then he just has to pick up in Harare and Mazoe, Genoa, wherever they might come from, and I'll get here to Bulawayo as well. So yeah, we're putting on a lot of young heifers, 7 to 10 month old heifers. There will be just over 40 pedigree heifers on sale, 20 Brahman, 20 Tuli, and then we have 2022 heifers, pregnant 2021 heifers, and then a few young cows. There's a total of 120 animals up for sale, which include eight Brahman bulls and 8 Tuli bulls.
I was going to say to you, every farmer is always looking for a bull. So can people sometimes walk in and buy bulls?
They can, after my auction, come to the farm and buy bulls from me. I only sell my bulls that are coming up to 3 years of age. So those born in 2021 are for sale this year. My 2022 bulls are not for sale. Everybody asks me for young weaner bulls, and we don't sell those at all. We let them grow out. And
For someone who's wanting to attend the auction, where do they find you? Where is your place where the auction will happen?
the auction is going to take place at the Ngwenya showgrounds. Starts at 11 a.m. We've done a lot. All these concessions I make are aimed at people in the diaspora. People who are farming in this country also benefit from it. But if you're stuck in the diaspora and you're bidding online, at least you know that the price that you pay, okay, now there's VAT on cattle, they're going to have to pay that as well. But at least they know that the animal now gets delivered to the farm. They don't have concerns. So we try and target the diaspora a lot to help them out, because we know in the past they've paid for an animal, a different animal pitches up, whatever the story may be, we try and target the diaspora and help them. Yeah. So those that are possibly in the diaspora that are interested, they need to contact me. I will put them in touch with the technician who from CC Sales, who will guide them and show them and get them registered and all that online, and it's an easy process from there.
Maybe in that case, contact him. Where do I find you? Your contact details.
My phone number is +263 773 489 019. I'm found at Ngwenya. I'm from just outside Ngwenya on the Bulawayo Road. If you're around, people may come and visit the farm at any time. They just need to let me know ahead of time so I can make myself available. And I will be putting out a catalogue shortly. I'll give you guys a flyer. On the flyer, there's a QR code. That QR code can be scanned, and it will give all information on the auction, which animals. And I strongly recommend people research the animals. When you're buying an animal, look at the animal's mother. How fertile was the animal's mother? We won't have any flybys on my auction. Well, we might, because Ngwenya Air Base is just there and they fly over there. Yeah, so please research the animals that you're going to buy. They're going to be on your farm and you want to make money from them. Please make sure that you are happy on paper with the animal you got. If you're in the diaspora, get a family member to come and have a look or ask me for advice. I'll give you a straight answer. Selling you the first animal is easy. It's to have impressed you. Very important. No animal that I sell at my sale, I will not breed with. So if it's not purchased at my sale, it comes back to the farm and then I continue breeding with that animal. It will not be made available after the sale. A lot of people kind of hang back and they say, I'll go to the farm, I'll go to the farm. My females are not sold off the farm ever, only at my auction. It's a hard and tough rule that I'm living by, because it would be nice to be able to sell a female off the farm, but my customers must know that they can come to the auction and that's where they will get my female stock. Bulls, as I say, we only put 8. We have about 30-40 bulls in total for sale, maybe a bit more than that, but I'm only putting 8 of each breed on the sale. So there are very good bulls left on the farm. The people that support me at the auction and maybe price has got a bit high or something, I give those people the first option to come to the farm. It's a 2-week period, And after that 2-week period, I'm now open to business to anybody. Yeah.